All right, let me start off this video by saying one thing I hate about certain reviews. Well, it's not even reviews. It's mostly when a TV show or a movie comes out that and people happen to watch the trailers, they automatically make a and I they automatically come up with an idea of what some movie is trying to like propagate or whatever or promote or whatever that has nothing to do with the actual movie. The thing I'm trying to talk about at this point is when people constantly say something is like woke, uh um all in feminism or masculinity or toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I really want to talk about in this episode. Okay? All right, everybody. What's up? It's KR0. And as you guys saw in my last video that I posted, I went to go see the Marvels uh, yesterday as of the recording of this video. I went to go see the Marvels. It was a good film. And one thing I need to like kind of apologize for is, well, I forgot one particular major problem of the entire film, mainly because I, as a person who likes watching, has Disney Plus and has watched all the Marvel shows on Disney Plus, I forgot to add in the fact that if you've never seen WandaVision, or definitely if you didn't watch the 6 episode um, Miss Marvel series, especially the final episode, the final scene, you probably won't understand. Like, you probably won't get the whole point of what was going down in the first, I'd say, 30 minutes of the Marvels movie, because it really goes right off of what happened in Miss Marvel. Monica Rambeau, of course, was introduced in WandaVision. So there's that. So I want to apologize for not adding that little factor in. Uh, if you can, if you can, like, kind of forgive the movie for that, well, then again, the movie is good. The movie is it's hilarious at the right times. It really does move the plot. It moves very quickly. And one other thing I have to say is that the way it moves so quickly makes sense to me. It may not make sense to a whole bunch of people who are sitting here steady criticizing the hell out of this movie. And I don't mean criticizing, but criticizing. Well, certain people did criticize it perfectly. Again, I state Penguin Zero, Charlie, aka Moist Critical, whoever you want to call him. He did a good job of like giving some kind of criticism. It is messy. I won't lie. But in my personal opinion, it wasn't nearly as messy as some would believe it to be. Mainly because of the fact that I catch on very quickly to a whole bunch of things. When you have characters who are constantly switching places, in some movies, I don't know if you noticed, but there are some movies that have had that very same plot. Well, that very same issue go on with their characters. Well, not issue with their characters. Something in the plot for those particular TV shows, they've had something similar to that happen, but it was in TV shows. We never really see it in movies that often, where characters are constantly switching due to like something or another. The only movie I can think of was movies that had like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type situation. However, when it comes to this movie, given the fact that the three characters' powers are connected, and whenever one of them uses their powers, they switch. Whenever two of them, whenever they use their powers at the exact same time, they tend to switch. Well, you don't really see it that often. Sorry, you don't really see it that often in movies. It's a very tough thing to do, I think, story wise. But I think this movie does it perfectly because one, there's a couple of issues like in the trailer we actually see more of Monica falling into where Carol was, but we don't get much of Monica during that whole little time. But all the times at the beginning when they kept switching and all that stuff, it made sense to me, especially that one action scene at the beginning of the movie where they kept switching. They didn't understand how they were switching. They didn't understand fully about how they switch. You could see that they had their powers every once in a while. They'd be using their powers and it didn't seem like they were switching, but maybe like if you were thinking outside the box like the movie kind of wants you to, you could understand why they weren't switching. Maybe at that moment they were sitting there still thinking like one of the other ones before they actually got it tied down. One of the other ones were had switched already and they were trying to figure out why they were switching and they didn't want to use their powers, or one of the two things. And it's an entanglement situation, not like Jada Pinkett Smith, but still, it's an entanglement situation of three characters who have light-based powers, and they keep switching, and yet they don't know exactly how the switching works. But they did in the movie, they do kind of get a handle on it slightly. And I love that training scene, by the way. But that's not the reason for this video. The reason for this video is because of the fact that the main reason why I went to go see this movie, okay? I'd already seen Penguin Zero's review of the movie. I didn't see any other reviews of the movie. But as I was, just driving along, listening to YouTube, I come across a particular YouTuber that, every once in a while I tend to try to check out his videos to get his opinion on certain subjects, because I like to have opinions from all sides of the argument. But when he made his video about this movie, which again, a lot of people are making these opinions about movies just based off of the trailers for all the movies. They're not actually going out to see the movie, and therefore they're not really giving their audience a chance to go see this movie. They're just allowing their audience to see their videos, and then their audience, which is a big problem I feel like in a lot of things nowadays, their audience just automatically takes their word as law, basically. So surprisingly, I've been wanting to go see this movie for the longest period of time. I saw the trailers. I saw some little problems in the trailers, but I still want to go see the movie. Mainly because I was actually a fan of the Ms. Marvel TV show. Mainly because of the fact that the actress who plays Kamala Khan, Iman Vellani, she seemed like Kamala Khan. When I saw the trailers for the TV show, she seemed like Kamala Khan completely. And then after the movie came out, after the TV show came out, I had watched all the interviews about it, and this was her first role. And she in real life is basically Kamala Khan in real life. She's a huge Marvel fan. She's a Marvel fangirl who somehow ended up getting the role, all due to some weird happenstance that worked out, and I think she's the best choice for Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. That being said, I really wanted to see this movie. Really wanted to see how well she did in this movie, and she did great, by the way. But the the particular YouTuber, I don't want to say his name because not trying to start drama or anything like that. He, I mean, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't even worry about me because I'm such a small channel. But his video starts off with him just laughing, saying how bad the movie is, how Marvel should stay away from the woke, and feminism stuff and all that stuff. And I'm like, immediately after I got past, and that was in the first like 30 seconds of his video. I could be embellishing, but I know it was like in the early stages of the video. It was like the start of the video. And immediately I turned off the video. And at that exact moment, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go see the Marvels right now. Right now. And the way he was talking about it, like I haven't finished his video, but the way he was talking about it, he was talking so much smack about using the woke terminology, the feminism terminology and all that stuff, and just saying how like he watched the trailer and he just went quiet and he realized he didn't want to see the movie at that moment when he saw the trailer. And while like the movie, to me, when I watch the movie, like I can tell when a movie, I usually pay attention to like these TV shows and movies, trying to see if it does like push a message of like feminism, girl power type situation, which some movies they can get away with it. I mean, come on, Powerpuff Girls makes sense. A few other like movies that I've seen that have come out over the years, they make sense, like the Spice Girls movie, for instance. However, this movie did not feel girl power. It wasn't doing its hardest to make all the guys seem like they were weaker than, so to speak. I mean, maybe in the sense of like Darbin. Yes, I actually remember her name. Cool. Maybe in the sense of Darbin, but not necessarily. Like, I didn't feel that feeling of like, oh yeah, all the men are lesser than while watching this movie. In fact, it just seemed like a step in the right direction towards female women-led movies of yesteryear, like Alien or Aliens with Amanda Ripley, or what is another good female-led or woman-led movie that I remember back in the day that was like the main character? Oh, Underworld. Why didn't I think of that? Underworld. Okay, like it wasn't girl power. Like Underworld wasn't girl power. It was actually a really decent vampire flick. The original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that was a comedic woman-led thing about a vampire slayer who just happens to also be a high school girl thinking about prom and beauty queen and cheerleading and all that stuff. It was hilarious. But there were so many movies and so many shows that were like female-led or woman-led, however you want to say it. I'm trying not to be like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. But there was a lot of movies back in the 80s, early 90s that had a female-led cast with plenty of women, but they were never like that bad. Or Heathers. I mean, Heathers did have Christian Slater in it, but I mean, Heathers was more female-led, and it didn't feel like this huge, big deal that we make of movies and TV shows these days. But it seemed like a step in the right direction back that way, which was acceptable compared to like all these other movies where they just push the female character, the female main character on the audience, or the female, or the multiple female led character. Oh, what about Charlie's Angels? The one with Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, and Cameron Diaz. That wasn't that much of a feminist movie, even though it was a very women empowerment movie in a way. You know, I'm just saying there were good movies, and I'm trying to think of movies that like the main women characters, main female characters, weren't like overly sexualized. Because I never, I mean, I am a guy, so I am a single straight cisgendered guy, so of course I probably would be like all about the sex appeal, but not necessarily whenever I go see a movie. When I go see a movie, I'm literally, I know what type of movie it's supposed to be. In this case, this was a family superhero. It was a superhero movie for the family. It was a Disney property. Of course, I'm not going to see something that's like overly sexual or anything like that. So of course, I'm going in thinking with a, non-sexual mind. Whereas if I were to go see like something that's rated R, yeah, there's a possibility there's going to be some sexual situations in it. You know what I mean? But overall, this movie, not that. You go to a movie. When you go to a movie, you're supposed to like go to the movie, and given the ratings of the movie or said movie, you're supposed to think the way you're supposed to think, in my honest opinion, is like in that tone. You know what type of movie it is. If it's a comedy, well, guess what? You're gonna get some comedy. You're gonna get some laughs. Depending on what rating it is, like if it's a rated R comedy movie, there's a possibility there's gonna be some sexual stuff in there, and there's gonna be more sex appeal in it, and adult humor, that jazz. If it's rated PG-13 or PG, well, PG for sure, or PG-13, you're not gonna get that much sex appeal. You might have a little bit of adult humor, small little bit of like adult humor, just so that if the parents are coming with the kids, they have something to laugh at while the kids are sitting there like it's just going over the kids' heads. Like, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what things I've noticed in certain movies I saw as a kid that I now notice as an adult. But that's the biggest issue, is that like the way the world is right now, we're trying to make it so that kids seem like the way the adults are looking at these movies and looking at these TV shows, while they're paying attention to the adult humor sometimes, they're automatically assuming that their kid gets the adult humor. And like, we're not letting the kids be kids anymore, so like you're automatically thinking, oh, there's so much stuff that they're gonna see, that they're gonna hear, that they're gonna get automatically. I mean, shoot, when I was a young kid, my mom took me to go see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective and Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. And when I was a kid, I had no idea what was going on. Like, everything kept, like, some of the jokes, some of the scenes that were going on, like, it went right over my head. The fact that like Lois Einhorn was Finkel the entire time, and the hemorrhoids part, I was not really focused on it as a kid. I was just like, oh, okay, so she has some kind of weird butt disease that Ray Finkel had. So it's a rare butt disease, so of course she is Finkel. That's how I was thinking in my head. Literally, I remember this from like it was yesterday. That's what I thought in my head when I was a kid. Only after rewatching a movie as a teenager or adult, I realized, oh, she transitioned. Well, maybe not transitioned in that sense, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I wasn't thinking transition, the word transition, but you know, that's basically what we're realizing. And it was played for jokes because at the time, you know, transition was trans movement was like just was in its very infancy. People still were unsure about it. And what do people do when they're unsure about a situation that's coming? We make jokes about it. And yeah, sometimes it's at the expense of others, but in all honesty, we're making jokes about it to like get ourselves like more comfortable with it. You know what I mean? That's how I look at jokes and comedy and all that stuff. Like 9 times out of 10, when everybody's making jokes about a certain subject or whatever, they're not trying to make fun at somebody. It's just trying to lighten the load so that they can eventually get to that understanding. And I feel like that's what's wrong with why like people being upset with comedy is like a little bit off at this point. And eventually when we get to the point where like that isn't affecting us anymore, you know, we tend to shy away from those types of jokes. At least that's how I look at it. Man, my roommate cannot stop messaging me when she's out of the house or in the house. And I'm in the middle of a video. Okay, so like, anywho, like I was saying, so, but I was watching this movie. I was watching the Marvels, and not even remote. I went into it with an open mind, with an open thing, but I at the same time slightly like scanning for all the things that like all the buzzword like go-tos, you know, like that buzzword that like that one YouTuber was saying, you know, woke, have it being woke, a woke story, or it being a feminist movie and all that stuff. Just like I kind of did with the Barbie movie, and I thought the Barbie movie was actually great. I know it sounded like I was about to say cringe, but no, it was really good. But I went to see this movie, and I kept looking for like woke agenda, feminist agenda, and all that jazz. And I couldn't see a single thing. It was like when it came to Captain Marvel herself, Carol Danvers. God, my math cannot work today. It was more like, here's a woman who had her memories taken from her, had her whole mind kind of warped throughout all of as we saw in Captain Marvel, if you watched that movie. And she's still trying to bring her memories back, even 30 years later. Get her memories back. And one thing she's trying to connect with is her little niece that went missing during the whole blip. Which is also hard on Monica, who is the little girl from Captain Marvel, who has grown up without her aunt Carol and never got a chance to see her. And you know, during the movie, you actually understand why Carol never really wanted to be around Monica at the time, and but it's such a huge, important like relationship that she wants so bad to have, because it's a connection to her humanity. And then you also have Monica, just, you know, you can tell there's the same little girl in her that's like, I don't want to see my aunt not in this situation, or not contact her in this situation and all that stuff, and now she's forced upon her, and she's trying to like, keep that sad little girl from like 30 years ago from coming out. You know what I mean? She's trying to stay strong and just focus on the mission. And then you also have Kamala Khan, Miss Finger herself, getting to actually be around her idol, the person she models herself after. And she's understanding that her idol is just human, is just this normal person and all that stuff. And I love that. Like unlike the whole situation with Spider-Man and Iron Man. Iron Man is just sitting there, just like Tony Stark is just sitting there, like, I'm just this throughout like the entirety of like everything pre-Infinity War, end of Infinity War, and like you never really got that like, oh, my hero is just a normal person in real life aspect from Peter. He's just, hey, I just want to do the best thing. And you kind of get that feeling of like how Peter was with Tony, with Kamala and Carol in this movie. But it's like, it also gives you that, oh, they're just a real person after all, and I can learn so much from her, and I'm still like super fangirly, but I now understand that she's a person type of situation throughout the entire movie. And everything else that kind of fits. Like, okay, when I say that everything else fits, okay, there is, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this in other reviews, but there is a planet, and there's the one world they go to that is connected to like Carol and all that stuff, happens to be a world where they only speak in song, and if you try to talk normally, they don't understand what you're saying. It's kind of like a language barrier, and I thought that was actually cool. I thought that was smart. Reason why is because, up until now, like, you see all these different planets, all these different worlds thanks to Guardians of the Galaxy, and the only time we see somebody not talking English, not talking in the normal, in the way all humans kind of speak in any of those type of languages, regardless of what language you're watching this movie in, we never see anybody talk in like a different language. Like Thanos is well, except for like Groot, but he just says I'm Groot and that's it. But we never hear them speak in their like native languages or anything like that. And here we got a world where we actually see a native language, and it's a very it's a very like, language that works, but at the same time it's just like, wow, it's a new way of thinking. And I like that idea. I liked how the writers actually gave that a different type of planet, a different type of language that isn't just, some, weird like grunt or whatever type of language. It's like a legitimate like, oh yeah, well, we can only sing and we don't understand when you're talking normally. It's that little bit of a twist to the language thing, something that you don't really see that much in all these different like space travel movies, because there's a universal translator automatically. You know what I mean? And I thought that was great. And oh yeah, the cats. A lot of people would probably think that the cats were like a last minute situation, and like some of the stuff that just keeps popping up just doesn't really make sense. But actually, it did to me, because like I said, I was sitting there looking for all the buzzwords, the buzzword indicators, the feminist thing, the woke, narrative that's supposed to be in this movie, all from this trailer and all that stuff, according to some. And while I'm sitting there searching for that, I'm sitting there connecting the dots of all these different like story threads, like like, hey, where did Goose go? Oh, Goose is on Earth. Goose is with Kamala's family. Kamala's family is in. I can't really. I don't want to spoil it. But then the cats. And the cats are at the right place at the right time. They even mention what's going on with Goose. Like, somebody actually mentions that something's up with Goose at one point in the movie, and it leads to it. And it's like, it's not like a random occurrence. It's just, we already know what Goose does. And during the movie, we see what Goose does. And then Goose also seems to be like eating a lot of stuff. And then Kamala's mom happens to notice this, which leads to some births. And the cats. Y'all gotta see. If you're gonna see this movie, you gotta see the movie just for the cat situation. Okay, goodness gracious. I can't stop laughing. Anyways, but the movie's good. Now, granted, this movie takes place before the whole. This movie takes place at right after the whole situation with the Secret Invasion sitch. The Secret Invasion TV show. You get it. Fury has just been through hell in Secret Invasion, and now he's back up and he's making jokes in the Marvels. Well, you went through. If you just got through hell, you want to lighten your load, right? And you want to just. You're gonna just start joking a lot more. Like, you're gonna see certain things that, hey, shit just went down, but now things are kind of looking up a little bit. And every which way of this movie, to me, it just felt normal. Does that make sense? Like, it felt like normal, a normal coincidence type situation. Everything happened coincidentally. It moved the plot just the right way. It made sense that well, now that I forgot her name, Darwin, there we go. It made sense that Darwin went after each of the planets. Well, it made sense that Darwin went after the Skrulls for sure. She's Kree. And she did it under false pretenses of peace. Well, slight false pretenses of peace. Carol just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Makes sense. But everything had a good, like, the beginning of it was messy. It made some sense if you are a type of person who's like sciencey like me, like who enjoys sci-fi and all types of sci-fi like me. The entanglement situation between the three main characters made sense to me. And if you're a sci-fi type of person, it would make sense to you if you were to think about it in a certain way. Because you don't have to see everything that's going down. You just need to know, oh yeah, this is going down. Hey, I can't see everything that's going down, but we know what's going on in the background. You gotta think like everything is going on in the background. You can't see everything, and why would you? You want to see it through like each person's like perspective, but you don't have to see each person's perspective at the exact same time. The only time you actually had to see everything at the exact same time was when you see all three characters kind of like have like their own little boxes on screen at the same time. to let you know that this is all going down at the same freaking time. So this video is getting all too far along. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, there is nothing woke about this movie. There's nothing heavily implied to be feminism in this movie. It's just a romp. It's just an adventure going down. Yes, it was quick. Like, I mean, I won't lie. The final fight scene, I thought it was going to go for a lot longer. It went on very quickly, but it just goes to show you how tiny, how ridiculous of a character Darben is. Like, her thought process is just straight up stupid, really. There are so many things that this particular villain could have done, but she just has a bone to pick with Carol Danvers because of something that she noticed. It's just a revenge plot for her, and it's a revenge plot and her trying to protect her people, but at the same time, it's more revenge than anything, and it got her killed. It you know, fucked her up big time. Like, it's a good lesson. Like, if you're having your kids watch this, you can actually get your kids to understand that this is a good lesson about, hey, don't do things out of revenge. It will always blow up in your face at the end, which it did. Overall, but it does do a good job of connecting. It does do a good job of kind of opening up a connection of something that I can't wait to happen in the MCU. But I'm just saying, we have this whole MCU, this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, some things are not going to be that standalone-ish. This movie, if you just kind of forget about the whole, if you can just split your imaginations for just a little bit at the beginning, to not have that connection, needing a connection of Miss Marvel and Monica's first forays into the MCU with their TV shows. If you can skip that just a little bit, look, you already got you already got the character backstory from Carol in Captain Marvel, and you already got the backstories of the other two in those TV shows. There's no point, like, I get that you want like this one cohesive movie, but you knew what was going on. There was going to be a Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had it with the Avengers, with Phase 1. Yes, they had the movies. Yes, the TV show Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like somewhat connected to the movies. It was supposed to be even more connected to the movies. That was the original plan for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., by the way. It was supposed to be way more connected to the movies than it actually ended up being. But because of it being ABC, and because they had two different like people in charge of these different properties within Disney, like you had the Marvel TV executives, and then you had the Marvel movie executives, and it wasn't until they finally made it so that Kevin Feige was like fully in charge of the movie thing that Kevin Feige didn't start trying to get the TV part, because the TV executives didn't know what they were doing. Like, you had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then pretty much lost connection of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to the movies. With the movies, with the Avengers, you had a perfect Avengers movie with Joss Whedon, the first one, but then Joss Whedon really with a whole bunch of studio interference that had nothing to do with Kevin Feige, had a really bad. And things started getting better after Kevin Feige came in. And what happened was, too many things kept becoming like this huge issue of woke and all that stuff. And I feel like this movie, like I said, it's a extreme. It is an upgrade. It is a complete and utter, like, a better version. If you're thinking about it being a sequel of Captain Marvel, then it is by damn sure it did its job of being better than Captain Marvel. It did its job of being better than Captain Marvel. Of taking what Captain Marvel started with and just building up from it. So I commend the director. If you just take it, and if you're trying to take it as a standalone, if you forget like the first like 30 minutes of it and all that stuff, trying to figure out what's up with the bangle, because they do explain it a little bit more in the movie. Trying not to worry too much about the backstory. This does work as a standalone film of its own, because it's just its own little adventure. But because we have what is known as the MCU, you gotta think in this huge movie universe. You gotta think of it as a huge franchise. This is something that's never been done before. Before, back in the day with superhero movies, we had each standalone superhero movie that just made their own sequels and all that stuff, like Superman 1 through 4, and of course Superman Returns. You had your Batman movies like Batman and Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. You would have these standalone superhero movies that would pop up here and there and all that stuff, and they would have their sequels, but there was no connectivity, there was no like connection. And even though DC tried to do the same thing, they were speeding up. In my honest opinion, the reason why the DCEU kind of messed it up is because they were trying to speed into Justice League. Like, you had Man of Steel, you had Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and then immediately after that you basically had Justice League. You had a Wonder Woman movie, but where was the Batman movie? The backstory for Batman fully. Instead, you had the backstory of Batman and Batman v Superman, and it wasn't even that much of a backstory. Of course, the Spider-Man movies. The original Spider-Man movies, we got to the point where we got fatigued by all these different reboots of Spider-Man, because, hey, look, we had the Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 by Sam Raimi, and Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. And then all of a sudden, like, because you couldn't make a Spider-Man 4, you decided to like reboot the franchise all over again, and now we have Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. And no MJ, we have Peter's other love, of course, Gwen Stacy. And then you rebooted again with the MCU, but the MCU did a smart thing and then restart the origin story. We already know it. I mean, it wasn't that long that that the Amazing Spider-Man movies had just came out, and then you didn't make a third one, which everybody was kind of hoping for, even though the second one was kind of bad. You still should have made a third one. We're still waiting for it, Andrew. We love you. Anyways, no offense to you, Tom. You're good too, and you too, Toby. But Andrew didn't get a third movie, okay? I want Andrew to have a third movie. Anyways, 43 minutes, good lord. But at the end of the day, this movie, The Marvels, was actually good. And it didn't have that woke agenda. It didn't have that feminist agenda. It just was its movie. It was just a feel-good movie. It was just a decent movie that was that, yeah, while it does have a small, like some small problems in my honest opinion, it's not nearly the mess that a lot of people would say. It's not nearly as much in my honest opinion. It's not nearly as messy as Charlie said, and it's not, but it's damn sure not some political nonsense, woke agenda, feminist movement type movie. It's just its own movie. And I feel like if you're just gonna, like, and the main focus of my video right now is just say, look, dude, y'all gotta stop trying to automatically tag these particular points on it just because you see one thing and immediately believe that it's like the thing that you don't want to see in a movie. This is not a feminist type movie. Like I said, this is not a feminist type movie. This is not a woke movie. I've seen woke movies. Wasn't a fan. I've seen feminist pushing movies, and it's just doesn't work. I tried to, like, look, I don't think I actually fully watched Ocean's 8, and trust me, I actually kind of did. I don't think I fully got a chance to watch it because something came up when I was in the middle of watching it on like a streaming site or whatever. But needless to say, I wanted to see it because, well, there were a lot of my favorite actresses were in it. But the little bit I did see, it was basically just a carbon copy of Ocean's 11, just with 3 less people. A female-led movie, and it, like, I mean, what's her name? She played Hela in Thor Ragnarok. She's a great actress, but when I watched that movie, I just felt like she was the male version of the female version of what's his name? Godly. Married to why am I forgetting people's names? Brad Pitt. She was just a female version of Brad Pitt's character in Oceans 11 through 13. That's how I looked at it. That's like they threw in a few little things, kind of changed the characters up a little bit, but they were basically like carbon copies of the characters from Ocean's 11. And you know, no, I'm sorry, you can't really do that. You got to make these characters something different and all that stuff. If you're gonna have a character that's similar to another character, you gotta give them something that changes them up a little bit. Like if you want them to be that same kind of, you get what I'm saying? Like the reason why, like for instance, the reason why Miles Morales works more than why Miles Morales works as a different Spider-Man, and can also be in the same universe, can actually do the whole same thing with Peter Parker in a way. The reason why he kind of works as a character is because of the fact that, one, yeah, he may have been bitten by a radioactive spider, but he has a completely different background, and he acts in a completely different way from Peter. And he has his own little issues that are going on that are completely different from Peter, especially in the Ultimate Universe. Before the incursions and Secret Wars and all that stuff, and he ends up on 616. He had a whole bunch of stuff that was going on. There was a lot more backstory to him, and you got that feeling of him getting developed as his own character and not just a Peter Parker copy. Yes, he's smart like Peter Parker, but he has so many other things going for him that's not similar to what Peter Parker is dealing with throughout the 1610 universe. And I feel like that's another issue that a lot of writers keep falling into, is that they're trying to push this character into they're trying to change a character into a different type of character. Well, either just changing the skin color or changing the gender of a character and making them the exactly same character, but making it a different character, so to speak, and it doesn't work. It never works. But anyway, this video has gotten on too long. I'm already at 50 minutes. I'm already at 49 minutes, about to be 50. So I'll get into that in the next one. So thank you for tuning into my rant. But my rant, let me just leave with this. The main point of this whole entire video is, look, when you see a trailer, just because you see a whole bunch of women in it doesn't mean immediately that it's going to be some woke feminist stuff. If you see gay people in it, doesn't mean that it's going to be some woke gay stuff. If you see trans people in it, doesn't mean that it's going to be some woke trans stuff. It just means that, hey, you might get a little taste of what the movie is about, but really, you got to just go see the movie. And if you choose not to see the movie, then don't go on social media just saying that it's a whole bunch of woke feminist crap. Or don't say it's just some woke conservative crap, unless you actually have fully watched the movie. And if you go see the movie with an open mind. Don't go searching for shit. Because now, at this point, like when it comes to anybody who has a political agenda or has this automatic disdain for a particular type of buzz, I really wish we can just get rid of all these buzzwords that are coming out, like marginalized or woke or feminism, anti-black, all that shit. Those buzzwords, every single time I hear these buzzwords on anything, it's just automatic. I'm done with this thing. Like, I don't care if you're for that buzzword or against that buzzword. If you say that buzzword, I'm out. It's done. But anyways, I'm done. I'm done with this video. I'll just do these rants, okay? That's how I'm thinking in my head. But I guess I'll see you guys next time, okay? Peace.